How about that Sunday night game? Colts, Vikings. We talked all week about it. Joe Flacco starting for the Colts. A lot of controversy. Colts fans are mad. Colts fans are pissed, which I get it. They think Richardson's the future. They don't really care about the playoffs this year. But I also get the idea that look, Flacco's better, and even after this game, I think Flacco is the better quarterback. Now that depends on wins, because at some point you have to say, look, I mean, look at that. Was that Flacco's fault that Jonathan Taylor botched a handoff? Is that Flacco's fault for that? I don't think so. Flacco did throw a pick. He didn't lead the team to any touchdowns, but they missed a field goal. They got a couple more field goals. They moved the ball pretty well, and look, the Vikings have a really good defense. Brian Flores has been dialing it up over there. So the idea that Richardson was going to do anything better than what Flacco did, I mean, the Vikings sacked Flacco 7 times. They lead the league in sacks. Is that Flacco's fault? The Colts fans are trying to claim that Richardson would have ran more and not been sacked. I don't necessarily believe that to be true. He's been sacked a lot this season too. And who's to say they don't just blitz him the same way, or they come in with a totally different game plan? Vikings have a great defense. Like, of course Flacco and the Colts were never going to win that game. Now the question, of course, is no matter how much better Flacco is, and I do believe he's better, how long do you give him before you pivot back to Richardson? Because if they lose to the Bills next week, they're 4-6. After they play the Bills, they have the Jets, then the Lions, and the Patriots. So you're like, well, they lose to the Bills, beat the Jets, they can be, what would they be then? They'd be, I mean, look, this is a winnable schedule. If they lose to the Bills, they're 4-6. Beat the Jets 5-6. Lose to the Lions 5-7. They could beat New England to get to 6-7. Denver could be tough. Let's say you lose that game 6-8. Then their last 3 though are the Titans, Giants, and Jags. So I think if you can just be 6-8 going into those last 3, you give yourself a chance, because then you can run the table against the Titans, who stink, the Giants, who stink, the Jaguars, who stink. And if you run the table in your last 3 games, you make the playoffs, most likely, because I think 9-8 gets the Colts into the playoffs. Maybe not. I guess, honestly, the Broncos game probably is going to be what decides it. So, honestly, the question is, do you want to go all in on making the playoffs? If you do, Flacco's probably the answer. But I would say if you lose to the Jets, let's say you lose to Buffalo, you're 4-6. If you lose to the Jets and fall to 4-7, you have to go back to Richardson at that point. But I think Richardson was benched because he lost the locker room when he tapped out of that game against the Texans. I really do. Vikings side of it, really quick. I mean, Sam Darnold had a great game. Another good game. 3 touchdowns. He did turn the ball over twice. No, 3 times. Fumbled once and threw 2 picks. So a little bit of a roller coaster from Sam Darnold. But it was kind of Josh Allen-esque. And he won. He scored. Moved the ball well, efficiently. Nice little trick play there from Justin Jefferson. I'm loving the trick plays this year in the NFL, by the way. And yeah, things worked out for him. Good for Sam. Good for Sam Darnold. Got the Vikings 6-2. They're in the playoff picture. And their next 3 games, they have a 3-game road trip, which might be tough. But the guys that they're playing against, who is it? It is the Bears, the Jaguars, and the Titans. They can easily win 2 of 3, if not all 3 of those. If they win 2 of 3, they'd be 8-3. If they lose all of them, they'd be 9-2. I like how Minnesota's set up this year, and they already have the win over Green Bay too. They're a good football team. They were very close. Keep in mind, they were much closer to beating Detroit than the Packers were.